Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. That one. I'm your host, Roy Canady, and with me today is Ruthie.
Hi, you guys.
Courtney.
Hello.
Kent.
Hey.
And Rob.
What's up, everybody? Hello.
But yeah, so we are back here with another podcast, and sadly, Matt had computer troubles. His computer's burnt out on him again, which seems like to be an ongoing saga in Epic Gaming Night. Every couple years, Matt has a computer issue. And then Adam is on out of town for now. He's traveling and stuff on a trip. So
Yeah, Adam is traveling with family, and next time we see Matt, he'll have a digital hologram version of himself because the computer he's going to build.
they're gonna Tupac him. He's gonna have
And it's just gonna be like we're gonna see him, and you know how like D&D characters, their foot are on like a skull or like a barrel or something. His is gonna be on like on a pile of cheese. He's gonna have a pizza in one and a board game in the other. It's gonna be
I feel like computers go out just so you can upgrade them, get something better.
Listen, it's an
They
opportunity.
want to be upgraded, yeah.
It's an opportunity. But yeah, so we are here. We're going to talk about some news things. We're also going to talk about the games that we've played recently. And we're also going to talk about why we game, like why we play tabletop games or why we game in general. Kind of broad topic, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about, just a little something simple. But yeah, so hope everybody's having a good night, and we're going to make this thing happen.
it's gonna be great, and we're glad you guys are back. We missed you guys.
Yay! Yeah, we
Yeah.
just came back
Yeah.
from Dice Tower West in Las Vegas. We played quite a few games.
We did. It was a lot of fun and a lot of cake.
A lot of cake. So one
I
of
saw
the
there's
things,
cake vending machines. Is that what you're referring to?
yeah, in Vegas they have these cake vending machines.
Yes.
And
Yeah, that's
if I knew we were going to talk about it, I should have put pictures of us in here with our cake. But yeah, so we ordered cake from the cake vending machine. Tom's all about it, but I'm pretty sure you ate more cake than Tom did.
Yeah.
And by
I was
proxy, I ate more cake than
I
Tom
was
did.
like, I want to try each flavor.
What was your favorite?
The red velvet, for sure.
Oh,
It was good.
solid choice.
nothing but cakes here in town has an awesome red cake.
Yes.
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 The
They
icing
do.
is like the best.
And it plays like a little jingle when you order the cake from the
Right.
vending machine.
Eric caught us doing like a little dance.
Well, that's
To
nice.
it
So
while
that
we were
don't
waiting
feel
for
so bad
her.
as you eat it, or is that just me?
Or that way everybody else knows you're getting cake for
Right.
The good thing about eating cake in Vegas is that the calories don't count, because what happens in Vegas
true.
stays in Vegas. So all the
Hey.
buffets, we ate at a buffet, we ate all you can eat sushi, we ate like 5 pieces
Thai
of cake,
food.
and then it's I mean, it doesn't count, right? The calories don't count in Vegas.
You guys look beautiful, so clearly you're absolutely right.
I agree.
That's the science behind it. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get on with some of our news here, which I think we all had a little bit of part in putting this together. But yeah, so the first one here, Kent added, but I'm also a huge fan of this one. The Secret Cabal is currently live on Kickstarter with their crowdfunding campaign.
Yes, they are. They've been around for quite a long time. They're probably some of the best podcasters board game media has to offer, I would say.
Wait, are you not counting the Epic Gaming Night podcast that has
Oh, of course.
like
of course.
3 people currently watching?
Of course. But if you, a lot of people are probably already familiar with Secret Ball, but if you're not, they're definitely worth checking out. It's basically just a bunch of buddies hanging out and having fun, talking about board games and all sorts of craziness, and Bigfoot.
The
So-
thing I love about the Secret Cabal is like their banter. Like literally, like
Yes.
they're just like a group of friends that have been friends forever, and they joke about stuff, they talk about stuff. Me and Rob, actually, I don't know if Kent, have you gone to a Secret Cabal meetup with us also? I don't remember.
I've not been to a meetup. I never go to Gen Con, so I think that's more they had their meetups. I went to one of the live shows they had at
Oh, nice.
Dice Tower Con. I think that was the one time.
I know we went with Brandon Pleshik as well to some of their meetups and just had a blast on a bunch of their stuff. They haven't done meetups in a while, but
Yeah.
then like I've been listening to the Secret Cabal since like I got really big into board games for like the longest time, and like to the point where when they talked about Last Light on their show, like I literally was crying because the nice things
right.
they said.
Aw.
Like I was like tearing
yeah,
up.
Don
Like,
covered it on the show not too long ago.
yeah, I played it a couple times with Don, and then the things that him and Jamie said tear me up. So anyway, make sure to hit up their Kickstarter. Make sure to help keep these guys doing what they're
Right.
doing and make it happen. Because I know it's Jamie's full-time job to.
And last
do the
year,
Super Bowl.
Jamie had some illness. So he wasn't able to. They weren't able to crowdfund last year at all due to, pretty severe illness. He's better now as far as I know, but they really need support this year because it's kind of make or break time for them to continue doing what they're doing.
For sure. And I saw them at PAX Unplugged and they're like doing great. So I'm excited to see them back out at cons and doing more stuff. So it'll be awesome.
Yeah, right. Mhm.
Quick plug though for everybody that backed Last Light. I don't know if you saw the update this morning, but those resin planets look amazing.
I was going to ask you guys if I should talk about it or if it's too much
Absolutely,
shilling.
you should.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
And it was
then I
beginning
have the page up
every
just in
week.
case you guys said yes.
Yes.
So that way I can show it off.
Yeah, no, it looks absolutely amazing,
It
and so I'm
does.
very excited for that.
Yeah, I've had so many people messaging me, like being like, I'm all in on the light up stuff and the resin planets. So basically, we have these acrylic planets that were going to be the standard in the game. But now we also are going to have resin planets that have like swirled, like, I don't know, they look
so
like
pretty.
really nice, like, they have like almost like sparkly attributes to them or whatever, like a metallic look to them. And they look really,
I know
really
I'm butchering it, but to me, it looks like an amazing marble.
Yeah.
Like, you know those like old school marbles that have those
Yes.
swirls and stuff in it. And
And
then
then-
now, if you add like a light into that, I imagine it'll just like glow and stuff. So I'm
looks so
really
pretty.
excited about
And
it.
then the picture that they sent me, when they sent me this picture of like the game trays stuff all splayed out, like I messaged it to Ruthie and we were both like, what the
Already flipping
crap?
out. Yeah.
And then like the trays and stuff that hold like the resources and just the fact that like I can see a picture of what the resources are going to look like. And once again, I'm like, what the crap? Here's the
No,
thing.
it looks absolutely amazing.
Exciting.
I recently had an interview on
Eric Summers,
Eric
right?
Summers thing, and I was talking about how there were other publishers that wanted the game before Gray Fox. And here's the thing. All those other publishers were like, we're going to take Last Light and maybe we're going to have to downplay this and we're going to have to make this flat. And like they were talking about all the things they were going to do to my prototype to make the game less cool looking. Gray Fox took my game and they're like, Roy, it's really cool. All these 3D planets you have and all this stuff. What if we add crazy resources? What if we add light up planets? What if we add like really nice stuff? They're like, oh, you think it looks cool now? Hold our beer and watch this. You know, they're going all in on this. And that's even beyond what I even imagined for the game. So I'm like super excited how like all in they are into making the game look really good. So Shane's like, I'm putting all my money in on this and basically trying to do the best he can. He's like, if this doesn't work well, I'm going to drink myself to death. And I'm like, hey, listen, hopefully it does well enough that you can drink yourself to death in the good way.
No, I think Shane is betting in the right area. Everybody's got it on their most anticipated. Everybody wants the game to come out, and it just looks better and better every time we get an update. So, huzzah!
Oh, fingers crossed. Here it comes, coming soon, like coming this summer. So the next one.
Also, I just noticed Last Light's up for pre-order on Miniature Market, and it has sold out.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy. I saw it up
Unless they
on
restock
pre-order.
it.
I saw it up for pre-order on several different things. I don't know if that's where they've ordered the stuff or if it's like sold too much of like the retail version of the game. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't
It'll be
know.
interesting to see how well it does, you know. I'm super excited.
Well,
I'm just
next
excited for
time we
people to
get
play it,
together,
honestly.
Roy's paying for cake. So,
Cake. But yeah, this next news article thing is the Funko is coming out with a Disney animated and this is a new cooperative board game where it's like you're trying to put together all these like classic Disney cartoons like Aladdin and Steamboat Willie type stuff. And it's a cooperative game for 2 to 4 players. Basically where your production team trying to put together the animation, and then there are Disney villains trying to basically stop you from making your deadlines. And I just thought this was, I know sometimes Funko games are hit or miss. They've had some really good ones. Sometimes they've had some that are okay. But just the fact that they're taking this from like the animation studio standpoint of this, it looks really cool. And I
That's a
figured,
very different approach to
Do we know
a
the
co-op
ages?
game for sure.
do we know the ages for this game? Like, is this like a family friendly game? It looks family friendly.
Yeah, it looks family friendly.
yeah, the fact that it's cooperative a lot of times helps with that anyway. I don't know if they have the ages listed on here. Let me see if it actually says on the box that you can read. It says 10 plus. At first when I saw it, it looked like it said 18 plus, and I'm like, can't be right. It's 10 plus. But yeah,
It looks really
cool.
good. It's got really nice graphic design, got nice artwork.
Yeah.
It looks pretty high production also.
Will this be something you'd be interested in, Ruthie? Just
Yeah.
because, like, I know you like cooperative games.
And Disney themed.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you all
for
play the
Disney,
other
It's probably going to be a buy at our house as well.
Yeah.
Disney theme co-op sidekicks?
No, I actually heard that it was really hard for what it was. Did you guys end up playing it?
It was really hard.
It was
Way harder than it needed to be.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
wow.
rough. You could lose on like the first turn before you took
Yeah.
a turn.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and that happened to us. So we know
Yeah.
like it like
So
before we
Well, I
even
mean,
got a turn.
you guys
it
are
was
novices at games, and you never win
Yeah.
any board games
Right,
most of the time,
right.
so I can see that happening. Whatever.
over. So I mean,
though.
it wasn't that
That's
big of a
crazy.
deal. We just reset it and played
Yeah.
again. But yeah, I was like,
definitely
oh,
possible.
that just kind of put a bad taste in our mouth. I think.
But this definitely looks interesting.
Yeah.
I really like the look of it. It's definitely one we'll probably check out.
That's awesome. Well, that is Walt Disney Animated. The next one here is a shout out to our homeboy Emerson Matsuchi. I love the Century games, Century Spice Road. I really like the Gullum versions of all of them. But they're coming out with the regular standard Century big box with all of the games together. Plan B is going to be putting this out and having a version where you can get all 3 of the Century games together. That's pretty cool.
I wonder if they're gonna do a Gollum edition.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can get this one or maybe hold out for a Golem big box. Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder
I
about
think
that.
I'll probably hold out for the Golem. It'll come.
I don't know if you guys saw, but back in the day, I actually made Century cubes, like
Oh, I
because
do remember that,
I made
yeah.
Century cubes with actual spices in them, like in resin, for each of the different spices of the thing, which is all good until you get to saffron, which is not that cheap of a spice, but but you don't need that much saffron to make it like look cool. Be
That's
like,
the
oh,
price
you
you
know,
pay for quality components.
exactly, quality spices.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta have that spice
must flow.
trading. The spices must flow.
And so this big box 2 has a new expansion. It's never been released before for I think it's just for the Century Spice Road. That's the original one, where you can overlay plastic cards on top of some of the cards to change up some of the effects on the cards. So it's like it looks like a clear card, which could be pretty neat. It's called Golden Deals. And then it has all of the previously released promo cards for Spice Road, Eastern Wonders, and New World in the box too, which is cool. And I think Plan B is going to release those separately also if you wanted to add them into your games you already have. And I think it has recessed player boards, like the little spots where you hold your cubes.
Oh wow! So it's like
I know before-
deluxeified a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I know before it had the sheets where it's just kind of flat piece of paper. So that's kind of cool. Cool little upgrades there. For
This is one that I
solid
really
game.
need. I really need to get Ruthie to play because she
Yeah, I haven't
loves
played it.
Splendor or Marvel Splendor. But like
Okay.
everybody said that Century was like the Splendor killer, but she hasn't played Century yet. But yeah, it's a really fun game of just changing out some spices for other spices.
Oh.
So it's like really quick playing, and you build up combos and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
And I wonder if this will push people to play the combo games more. I know you can combine all these games in various ways, and we've never ever
Never
done
done
that.
it. Yeah.
But I wonder if people would do that. It's easier to do because you have them all in one box, maybe.
One of the things I thought was interesting is that the original boxes for Century are all like a panorama when you put them all together.
Right, yeah. That's
And
cool.
the fact that the cover of this splits up, like has different art, I think. It has completely different art on it, and it doesn't have that gigantic panorama as like the main thing of all 3 of them together. Seems like a missed opportunity to me.
Maybe it's on a different side of the
Yeah, I don't
box
know.
or something.
It better be in there somewhere, or maybe
Yeah.
it's on like the rule book is just gigantic.
Yeah. I do wonder how big the box is going to be.
It looks pretty big. It looks
like
it's
if
hard
it's going
to
to be
tell.
bigger than those 3 boxes together, or
It's going to be a big box.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the next piece of news here, I thought I added this because I thought that Rob might be excited. I'm not sure if he is still excited
I'm
about this
very
frame.
excited. I did not notice this or know that this was coming out until I saw the slides earlier today.
Well, then I'm sorry, Rob. This is basically Zombicide White Death, which is trying to be more of a tower defense version of Zombicide, kind of mimicking like
I'll take it.
the wall in Game of Thrones, but it has a bunch of anthropomorphic characters. So you have your cat people and like different animal people in there as well, because they had to add more crazy fantasy stuff to Zombicide.
Yeah, see, this is perfect because if I don't play it with Zombicide, then I'll just use it for D&D stuff. And I need like cat people and stuff.
Look at the
So this
people
is
on the
amazing.
line.
I love Zombicide. And it's funny, I saw this and my first thing was like, ooh, crap, I really need that tiger guy for our campaign. Like, I wasn't even thinking about
It's-
zombie side. I was thinking about D&D.
It's crazy when you start playing D&D and you see these miniatures games and they start becoming
Yes.
like dual purpose. You're like, oh man, I hope the game's good. Also, I'd love to see that guy in my campaign, you know?
Yeah.
And
Or
I
now
mean,
it's just like, I don't even care about the game. I just need those minis, and it's cheaper for me to buy this board game than to buy the minis.
if you went to the game store and tried to go buy all of those minis individually, like from
Whew.
like WizKids or something, like where they had those D&D packs for WizKids, for one, it would be outrageously expensive. For
Yeah.
two, they wouldn't even be as good quality as
I was
CMON
going to
does.
say, yeah,
Mhm.
CMON's
You know.
miniatures are so solid, especially now. They're
And you
There's-
don't have to put them together.
Right, and the
Some- oh.
sculpting, the sculpting on
extra.
them is just so good. Like it's like
Yeah.
they're made of really good plastic. The sculpting's amazing, you know, and
Really easy to
they're
paint.
inexpensive for the quantity you get. They've just got it down to a science, you know.
They really do. But I love the idea of a tower defense, and I know you just said this one was going to be that. We have so many other versions of Zombicide, so I'm excited to see if will this cross over with Black Plague, because this looks like that medieval. I'm sure there's going to be some type of expansion or some type of add-on where maybe you can have these players play in the Black Plague in that medieval style. But I think it'd be really cool for a tower defense. You're trying to run around your castle, maybe like, I don't know if you played the Call of Duty Zombies, where they're trying to break through the walls,
Right.
And so you got to repair the boards and get all that stuff done, and so you're running around the castle. Getting
That's kind of
supplies.
how the Living Dead one was, and I think it's going to be similar to that, you know, where
Awesome.
you're in a house and they're all trying to get in. This is going to be like
Yeah.
you're in a castle and they're all trying to get in. But I think it's kind of trying to emulate the wall from Game of Thrones, you know, like, oh, here the White Walkers are coming in trying to
I
break
think their
inside the wall.
castle in the game is called Winterguard, I believe, something like that.
No,
They
no
also-
fun. That's one thing that I love about Zombicide is they will take, like, for example, when they did
They did all the presidents.
all the presidents instead of saying Joe Biden, it was Bill Smiden.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Just change a couple letters. Like, I love it. They do not care at all. It looks just like them. I think it's perfect. So yeah, instead of Winterfell, it's Winter Garden. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure this is in the Black Plague and Green Horde universe. I think I saw somewhere that these are like,
Yeah,
I forget
this
what
is-
there was a term for it, but
They're
it's in
their
that.
fantasy one, basically.
Right, yeah, there you go. So it doesn't. I guess it doesn't mix with the original or Zombicide 2.0 or Invader or any kind of other stuff. But
It's
No,
with
but I'm
should
sure
work
Black
well
Plague.
for all that.
rules, which will help because I
Right.
have all of the Zombicide Black Plague stuff.
Mhm.
I think I have all of it except for like 2 of the character boxes, which were like the super extreme ones. But I'm excited. My wife, she still loves Zombicide. We'll still play. We haven't had friends over in a while just to play Zombicide because we've been doing D&D. But we used to have like get-togethers where we just played Zombicide. So I feel bad for missing Zombicide Marvel.
Yeah,
I
we
would
just-
not miss this one.
We just got the Zombicide Marvel, like the pack you can get at Barnes and Nobles, like the cheaper, like $30 one.
Oh, okay.
We have to get that to the table so that Ruthie can have a Zombicide frame of
Is
reference.
that the one where you play as heroes or play as villains? I know
You
there's,
play
like,
as
2 different
heroes, and
ones.
all the zombies are technically standees. Well, all of the
okay,
basic
yeah.
zombies are standees, but then you have the abominations, which are the zombified heroes, and then you play as the good heroes. The actual version of the game, which we got into the Dice Tower recently, you are the zombies and you're eating the heroes. So,
Right, okay,
and you're
yeah.
eating
That's
shield
cool.
agents or whatever.
It's very confusing. The two, like, they're two basically the same, almost similar names, but they're
Well, yeah, they're basically
Swap
two ways
roles.
to play the game. You know, you can either play as heroes fighting off zombies, or you can play as zombies eating and fighting off heroes and shield agents and eating off bystanders, which is kind of crazy. So,
Yeah,
Oh,
we
you gotta
haven't
get that
had a
help.
chance to play that.
yeah.
I like it. I'm excited. Love Zombicide, and like you guys said, their quality is next to none, and the fact that it comes all assembled, I'd pay extra for that. So looking forward to it.
and then the next one here, Rob is going to talk a bit about, because I think this is a campaign you're backing, right?
Yes, and here's the funny thing is I told my wife like 2 days ago, I was like, look, babe, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you I'm backing a Kickstarter right now. And she said, hold on, what is it? We don't need this. Like, what's going on? Because I don't say anything and then I just apologize later. She's like, babe, why'd you spend all this money on Kickstarter? I'm sorry. Oh, I forgot about that, blah, blah, blah. But this one I wanted to be upfront with her about. And I started to tell her about this one, and she was like,
Turning over a new leaf.
she said, Roy, she said, okay, that's fine. Just let me know when it launches. I never Never, ever has she ever said anything like that. So I'm so excited for this Kickstarter. Game is called Maladum. I'm just going to say Maladum. It's Maladum Dungeons of Enveron. It's by a company called Battle Systems. I use Battle Systems for all of my D&D terrain. They are really thick, really beautiful, nice, hard quality cardboard where you can build whole houses and villages and towns, and they even have destroyed towns and things like that. So I've been using them for a long time for all of my D&D stuff. And they had a Kickstarter, I think 2 years ago, with the space game for Core Space. And what I like about Battle Systems is, yes, it is a cardboard, so you do need to be careful, but it is real thick, it is real sturdy, but it's cost effective. Like I was able to buy a whole village of Battle System, their Fantasy Village package, for the same price to buy one house of Dwarven Forge. And so they've been on my radar. I've hearted the company. So if they had another Kickstarter, I'd be able to try to get on. And then they have this game coming out. This game is called Maladum. It is a fantasy miniatures board game in which you band with adventurers. You head into ancient dungeons and abandoned settlements to seek their fortune. The game takes place in a highly detailed 3D board, which is included in the box.
Cooperative or competitive?
For the area. What?
Is it cooperative or competitive?
Well, it is. You can play solo. You can play, or you can play cooperative. It plays up to 1 to 4 players, and it's also a campaign. My wife, we really like Zombicide campaigns. That's one of the things that we like about Zombicide 2.0. And so you can play this together. And what's cool about this campaign is it's actually 2 things in one. So if you check the Kickstarter page, the Maladum game itself has its own terrain that's set up just for the game. But then they added a whole ancient dungeon, which is like 2 stories tall, for RPG stuff.
Holy smokes.
Well, so many people have said, hey, we really want to be able to play scenarios in that dungeon stuff. Will you make missions for this? And so not only are they going to make missions for that 2-level dungeon stuff, they're also going to make missions available for some of their other core things. And they just had an update that got released this morning. Like, for example, I have their Fantasy Village pack, which came with like 3 different houses, a tavern, a blacksmith forge, and like one other thing. So you got like 6 buildings and a bunch of scattered terrain and roads and stuff like that, all for $100, which again, it's around the same price as 1 or 2 homes for Dwarven Forge. I got all that stuff, and now I'll be able to take the components from this game and be able to play it with their old RPG stuff.
That looks awesome.
So I'm really excited to see how that's going to turn out. I really like the company. They're based out of Europe. I've actually I've messaged them several times privately on Facebook Messenger and some other stuff, asking questions just because I bought a lot of their products. And so like, hey, like Mr. America or whatever, because I'm like, hey, like how quickly can you guys get me this stuff? Because I've had big sessions going on and I needed extra things.
That's awesome.
Anyway, they know it's not a bragging thing. It's I'm an idiot. I've given them a lot of my money thing. So like I'm just like one of like their good customers, I guess you could say, because I have just about every single one of their sets for the fantasy stuff.
That's awesome though.
But the game looks really cool. I know a lot of people played Core Space. Core Space was their second big game. They're basing this Maladum rule book and stuff like that based off of the Core Space mechanics. So it's just going to be that, but better. And so I'm really looking forward to it. What you see on the screen there, that's just what comes in the box. Then there's a whole other dungeon that you don't see on the screen.
That's like
for
add-ons
RPG.
and stuff and RPG stuff?
Well, no. The one that's going to come with this Kickstarter campaign, it's like a sewer/ancient dungeon, crazy place that looks absolutely amazing. And the detail, like I've got so many beds and bookshelves and tables and chairs.
Yeah, the cool thing about
shit.
this stuff is you don't have to paint it, right? So you just put it together and then it's like set up,
together.
right?
And I love that because, like, for example, when I build these houses, they already have like the straw, or they already have the tile, they already have everything down. So you just put it together and then you're done.
How hard is it
awesome.
to assemble?
It's not that hard at all.
Do you glue the stuff or?
I don't, because what I like to do is, because everything is so detailed, I will actually put, in fact, on our last session, I did this. We had some guys going into a temple and I had this monastery, and I put a bunch of orcs in there because you can take the roofs off, and then there's different rooms, and some of the rooms have different coverings for each room, so you can kind of like a fog of war, like as you open it up, you can reveal what's inside, and I did that so that way as people opened up the homes, not only do they see the detail inside of the homes, but then they also see, oh, okay, Robert put enemies in there. And I like to do that when I play RPG because it makes my players explore. I really like table presence. And they'll have like little chests and things, and the chests and stuff you can open up. And so sometimes, like what Roy did to me when we did our D&D campaign, I'll put little notes in there, and I just want to make sure, okay, did you guys check it out? Did you not check it out? Type of stuff. And
That's awesome.
It's not very hard. Once you build one or two, you'll get the hang of it. You're like, oh, okay, like I can do this. Another cool thing about the pieces is they give you like a set of, you should build it like this, but it's also customizable. So if you want your house to be a little bit bigger, you can easily make it bigger. You just combine a couple of houses and transform it the way you want to transform it. Battle systems, they're out of the UK. Their Kickstarter is going on right now. I think there's a couple weeks left, actually 14 days left. They're killing it on their campaign, a little over $500,000 so far. Really enjoy their product. I'm excited to play their game. I haven't played any of their games. I've just used all their stuff for RPG stuff. And check out their page. But that's Miladium. And my wife said I could get it. I didn't like beg or anything. She was just like, okay, just let me know when it goes through. Which, again, guys, that has never, ever happened.
Rob tested, wife approved.
Right? Well, now, see, here's the thing. If you want to be happy, make sure you like the things that she likes, or make her like the things that you like. So now that she's starting to like D&D and she's starting to like playing these games, now it's not so much of a burden.
She's like, why in the world would you get this? Now that she's played, she's like, oh, I see why you're getting that. That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, she's like, oh, okay. And she even said, we could use that for this over here. And I'm like, yes, we could, babe. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much.
You have to show her a miniature that looks just like her character. You're like, I think this miniature would be really good for your character. Or like, hey, if we get this, maybe this little animal guy, maybe he'll be your familiar, your little pet in the game.
That zombie side with the tiger and stuff like that, babe, we need this. Because remember your person, you've got this cat person. That guy will be perfect for you. So that one I might have to, finagle a little bit. But it's a lot of fun. This one launched, and so I just wanted to tell everybody about it. But that's Miladium from Battle Systems.
That's awesome. So we're going to go into the games that we have played. And this time we're going to start off with Courtney.
Hey, so we played Rolling Heights like a week or two ago, I think it was.
A little bit, yeah.
By John DeClaire, who's I think is doing really good games like lately.
I met him for the first time at
you did?
PAX at West.
Oh, cool,
awesome,
cool. Yeah, we've been really liking his stuff, so we were excited to try this one out. My favorite part about it is you get to roll meeples, which I think is a lot of fun. It's just different. And it's got a little bit of a push your luck mechanic where you roll the meeples. You can roll up to 10, and you can keep rolling them until you get to half. What you're trying to do is have them either stand up or be on their sides. If they're laying down, then you
They're
can't
lazy.
use them. They're
They're
lazy
taking a
and
nap.
they're exhausted.
Yeah.
So you keep rolling them until at least half of them are either standing up or on their sides, and then you can keep going if you want. And kind of push your luck, but if you keep rolling and none of them are standing up, then you lose half of the ones that you've already gained. So it's kind of a neat mechanic. I think I tried it once or twice while we were playing, and I did not do well. So I don't know. It depends on how lucky you are rolling stuff.
I think there's a dexterity component too.
A little bit.
It feels a little bit like that. It's not just like rolling dice.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, and then you're using those meeples to get resources, which allows you to build buildings, which then get you points. So, like rolling the meeples, I feel like is the main kind of mechanism behind it. So we had a good time playing it. I think the only thing we thought was kind of fiddly is you're stacking these cubes to build these buildings, which are the resources that you gain. And so it's very easy to, like, if you hit the board or like if you have big hands, like trying to stack the cubes, it's easily to knock the towers over. So yeah, right. So So that was like I think the one drawback with it, but otherwise it was a lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
I'm gonna say like John D. Clare has such like different games. Like that's one of the things I really like about his designs is like so many of his games are so different. And that's really cool.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got a
the-
huge range.
The only game I'd ever played where you were rolling meeples was I think it's called Quetzal. I think I played it one of the Dice Tower retreats, and I really liked the concept of rolling meeples because I'd never seen it before. And then I saw this game and I was like, oh yeah, we gotta try that. So
He has Space Base, which is all about building space stations and you're rolling dice to get the resources to build those. He has
Dead Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning, which
Edge
is
of
just
Darkness.
a gigantic thing. Edge of Darkness is
Ready, Set, Bet.
Ready Set Bet is so different as well.
Very
You know,
So
Cubitos.
Cubitos is like
Cubitos.
a racing version of Quacks. It also feels a little bit like Rolling Heights, I think, in the rolling aspect, like when you're trying to push your luck.
and he did the what is the
Did he do Mystic Veil or is that
Mystic
somebody else?
Veil as well. Mystic Veil was like his first
was
big
a-
one that I
yeah,
saw
an
that
old one.
really popped off. It's just crazy that he has so many different styles of games.
Yeah.
He's a really nice dude too. He was there during the Ready Set Bet tournament. That's why I met him because
Oh,
he was
cool. Yeah.
running. And I love the fact that he played in this gigantic Ready Set Bet tournament and immediately lost in the first game. I'm like, yes.
We played a game with him too.
Yeah, we ended up playing we played Dead
Dead
Last
Last.
with him. Him and
right.
his wife and their little baby. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
That's a
Good
fun social
stuff.
deduction game. I haven't played that in years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
You just kill people. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh, you
like
vote people out or
You just
something,
vote people
yeah.
out. There's
everybody
like
just voted me out for the most part. Ruthie, you're doing pretty good in that one. So
Yeah.
But yeah, the next one we're gonna talk about, it's Ruthie's turn.
Yay. So my game we played at Dice Tower West is the Star Wars deck building game. And it's basically a face-off between the Rebels and the Empire, and you're just trying to blow up each other's bases. So you start building up your deck, and and you start attacking the base. And I was the dark side, obviously, but Roy beat me. Wah.
Wah.
No, but I like deck building games. It was a lot of fun, and I couldn't wait for him to bring it home so I could play again because it's so much fun.
Yeah, the things that kind of is a little bit different in this, I know it's been done in other games, is the fact that like there are cards in a center row, kind of like Ascension or things like that, but you can attack. There's only cards that your side can do. So there's Rebel cards, and then there's Empire cards, but then there's also neutral cards. There's a lot of bounty hunters that are
Right.
neutral cards, and you're both trying to fight over these cards. But if they're not your card, instead of recruiting it, you can basically attack it. So it's like, oh, there's a TIE fighter and I'm the Rebels. I can attack the TIE fighter, but Ruthie would be able to recruit the TIE fighter. And if you attack it, you get a different reward for attacking it and blowing it up. But you have to like decide whether you're going to be attacking stuff in the row to get little bonuses or whether you want to be going straight for your opponent's base. And you're also getting a whole bunch of starships to try to like protect your base.
And I also like that you get to pick your base. So one gets destroyed and you start going through your deck to be like, which base do I want now? You know, it's a lot of fun.
It's
I
a
like
really
it.
cool like catch-up mechanic, and the different bases are very kind of situational. So
Right.
like some could be like, oh, I get to take a card for free out of the row. Or another one could be the Death Star, which says, oh, you can blow up your opponent's capital ships. Well, if your opponent hasn't got a bunch of capital ships in their deck, maybe that's not as important. But you could pick another one that just lets you cull or like trash like 3 cards from your deck, just making your deck more lean. There's a whole bunch of different ways to like play with those bases, and it's a cool catch-up mechanic as you start losing your bases as the game goes along.
Yeah, I really.
How easy was it to pick up and to play?
Oh, I think it was really easy, actually. I got it right away. I was like, oh, okay, I know these mechanics, and I picked it up rather easily.
So yeah, it's very similar to games like Star Realms and things like that. It's going to be compared to that a ton because it feels like a head-to-head battler game like Deck Builder. But I do think there's more interesting decisions in this one with the fact that a lot of the cards combo off of card types. Like, oh, this works better if you have troopers in play. This one works better if you have capital ships in play. This one works better if you have like fighters in play. Just different stuff like that makes it interesting. And it's just so thematic. It's like cool to play
Right.
Darth Vader down and like pull the Force towards
Yeah, you
you
start tugging
onto your side. There's a tug of war
Force.
like force on whether the Force on your side or on the opponent's side, and cards will combo off of that, and Darth Vader will do tons of attack and damage, and it just feels thematic and fun in a very simple way.
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
I basically like looked at the cards, skimmed the rule book, and I'm like, I know how to play this, like immediately. Just because it was so. I mean, if you've played other deck builders, you're not gonna have any problem with this one,
Do you feel like it was pretty well balanced, like between each side, between the rebel and the
I think
Empire?
so. I think that both sides are pretty similar, I mean, as far as the card types they have, I think the rebels have more stuff that makes your opponent like discard and blow up stuff, and the Empire has more stuff that lets you build up and draw stuff. But the back and forth in the asymmetry is actually pretty subtle, I mean, you're gonna have a bunch of stuff, and the fact that there's so many neutral cards, there's a lot of bounty hunters that either side can get, and there's a lot of like neutral ships that either side can get. So if there's a card that you really like, oh my goodness, I really like IG-88 because he does a ton of attack, you could draft IG-88 no matter what side you're on, So I've played both sides, and I thought it was a bunch of fun on both sides. I actually kind of prefer the Empire because they draw more cards, but I'm never going to get to play them against Ruthie, so...
You're not.
Card draw in deck builders is the best. I love it.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the Star Wars deck building game. Next, Kent has a game that Ruthie's actually played as
I've
well.
actually played this game.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so I played Ahoy. We played Ahoy 2-player, actually. It is an asymmetrical game based on, well, not based on anything. Oh, it's kind of pirates and, merchants and marauders kind of thing. Anyway, so it's by Leader Games. It's got the art by the same the artist who did Roots art, which is Kyle Farron. And then it's the designer is Greg Loring Albright. So that's not the same designer of Root. So it's I think it's a new designer maybe. But anyway, in Ahoy, you're going to be one of the 3 different factions which are asymmetric. So you got the mollusk, however you pronounce them, the blackfin,
The clams.
like the tunas, the clams. Yeah, there you go, mollusk. And then you got a smuggler, and you got 2 smugglers. So when you're playing 2-player, you're going to play the mollusks, and you're going to play against the blackfin. I think the blackfin. And you've got your main ship, and you're going to be sailing around the board. You're going to be exploring places, collecting gold, maybe having battles, ultimately trying to control different regions to get points, essentially. So when you play 2-player, you don't have the smugglers to go around, and they usually what the smugglers do is they collect goods, deliver them to different islands, and increase the values of those islands. So like the more goods that get delivered to a place makes the island's value go up, which is kind of cool. But it's kind of the whole game is based on a dice placement mechanism, which is really fun. I love dice in games like this, and dice in kind of Euro games and stuff. But you're going to roll your dice, you're going to be able to place 2 dice on a turn, and then you have an action board that shows where you can place your dice. So you get to choose what you can do based on the dice number. So you might have an action that requires like a very specific number, or you might have actions that are just like, it'll take whatever dice you want. So it's you got to kind of plan out how you want to place your dice. And the mollusk faction, it starts off a little bit weaker as far as board presence goes, but as the game goes on, they kind of just start to dominate the whole board. So I feel like there's a timer built in for them to like start ramping up and just controlling everything. While on the other hand, the blue player, which is the blackfin, they can send their units out to go explore really fast. They have a lot of mobility and flexibility as far as their defenses and things, but they can start to get overrun because they don't really have a good way to fight the mollusks. So the asymmetry is pretty noticeable, but the complexity is not that bad. It's much less difficult to teach and play than Root in comparison. And it plays quicker too, I would say. You can probably play it in about an hour or so, depending on player count. And we only play with 2-player, but I really think it would shine with having a smuggler in there, at least 2 for maybe a 3-player game or even a 4-player game.
How many did you play with, Ruthie? 4?
I play 4-player.
Yeah,
I
so I
think
would say
was a smuggler. I think
3 or 4 is probably the best way to go. Maybe 3, just because that way you have one of each faction in there. Because I wish there was maybe a fourth different faction, but still three different asymmetrical factions is pretty cool.
I would say
but the production looks great, and it's really kind of a neat theme, and it's fun.
Yeah.
This is one of the few games that Ruthie has played that I don't know anything about, because I walk away for 2 seconds at the retreat, and they grabbed her and put her in the game of this. I'm like, you're playing a leader game? Like,
Nice.
you're immediately going in the deep end. Like, what's going on?
This is definitely a lot lighter than the other leader games.
You're
for
right,
sure.
you're right.
But it's got a lot of still got a lot of decisions and stuff going on.
Yeah.
Did
I
you like it,
that
Ruthie?
I did.
You did?
It took me a bit to like pick up on it because I was like, what is going on? Because of the dice, you have to roll them and then place them where you want to
Yeah.
where you want it to go. So then I was just like picking up my cargo and I'm going over here. You guys don't blow me up. I'm just cruising.
Oh, were you a smuggler?
Yeah.
You were a smuggler? Okay, yeah. So that's the other thing. Yeah, you can see the cards on.
Yep.
You can get crew cards that give you special powers.
Right.
They might give you special dice spots. But if a smuggler gets those cards, they become goods. So they're kind of multi-use cards, and they kind of do just some pretty cool stuff to make you pretty different once you collect a few different cards. But it's definitely worth checking out. I would say if you like asymmetric games, there's some confrontation in this game, there's some combat and stuff. So if you're okay with that kind of stuff, I would say it's definitely worth a try. And it's pretty easy to learn and play in comparison to many other asymmetric kind of games by Leader Games and by other companies too.
Awesome.
But yeah, it is Ahoy.
Rob.
Yes, sir. Well, I am really excited. I've been trying to get my in-laws to play a board game with me forever. We always play party games, and I talk about playing a lot of party games with them. Well, they were in town for a few days, and I said, well, you guys are here, and you're stuck. And if you want to play a game, let's play professional board game hide and go seek. Because in our house, we also play hide and go seek a lot, which if you ever play with me, I have about 4 spots. So if you can't find me in those 4 spots, I left the house. So I was like, let's play board game hide and go seek. And so we played Spectre Ops. I absolutely love Spectre Ops. Spectre Ops is a game where you are an agent, and it is a one versus many. It can be one-on-one, but if it's one-on-one, the hunter player is going to play as 2 characters. But it's up to 5 players. We played with myself versus my wife and my in-laws, and I was the agent. And the objective of the game is there are 4 areas down on the board, or 4 markers on the board, and you have to complete 3 of the 4 objectives and then exit the board before you are killed. You can get shot, you can be found, but you need to exit before you die. And what's great about the game is it's got a fog of war mechanic. You do not see the agent player unless you are in their line of sight or they cross your path. And if they cross your path, they have to put down a little token. And that token represents where you last saw them at. You can put down their figure as well. But that lets you know where you last saw them at, not where they necessarily are. And you have 40 turns to be able to complete the game and to be able to get out in time. I absolutely love it. I love Spectre Ops. It's one of my all-time favorites. I've been trying to get it. I have brought this game so many times to Arkansas, trying to get them to play. But they just play party games. And so I was like, nope, you're here. We're playing this. And they loved it. It was great. The first time we started playing, it was late at night. So we played like 5 rounds. And then we quit and we're like, all right, we'll start a new game tomorrow. But the first time we started playing it, they asked a lot of questions, and they sort of had an idea of what was going on. But again, it was late. It was after 9:30, trying to teach brand new people a game or people a brand new game. And so I was like, let's start it over the next day. And so we played it the next day, and they almost killed me. I had 1 hit point left, and my mother-in-law, she was the puppet. And one of the puppet's abilities as the hunter, my wife was the beast. And then my father-in-law, he wanted to be the gun because he's a big hunter, and he's like, no, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to shoot you. And I was like, it should have been the prophet because the prophet's pretty powerful. But he wasn't. But my mother-in-law, the puppet, has this ability for his turn. He can use the motion sensor on the vehicle to give you coordinates. And I sort of tricked them because they thought I was going to run to this one exit and get out of there. But I ended up doing a loop-de-loop and then going the other way. And she was like, you know what, for my turn, I know I should chase you, but I'm just going to go ahead and do the motion sensor. And then for that, I had to say east, which they all thought I was going west. They all thought I was going northwest. And I was actually pretty east of the car. And she was like, I knew it. And so they all hightailed it over to the other exit. I got out with 1 hit left. But Spectre Ops, it's a fun game. And now it is a 1 versus many. So whoever the 1 is, you have to be trustworthy. And you need to mark your stuff on your map. So if there ever is a question, you'll be able to go back and say, nope, I did this. Nope, I did this. And also, if you're the agent playing, Depending on the amount of players, if you play with 3 people or less, you pick 3 equipment cards. If you play with 4 or 5 people, you get 5 equipment cards. And my father-in-law, he kept getting mad at my cards because a lot of the cards, you do not reveal what you just played. You turn it sideways on the board. And so he's just like, well, he's got one of them ring-a-ma-diggy cards over there where he can just jump across the map. I don't know where he's at. And he's very Southern. And so, well, look at him. He just turned that card sideways. He's got one of them. He was like, Cheryl, I told you, he just jumped all the way over there. He got one of them rim-a-ding-a-ma-jiggies, and he just jumped all the way over there. Can't even find this boy. And I'm laughing so hard because he doesn't know what to say, and he's trying to find me, and he's all frustrated. And I found sometimes the best strategy is to act like I'm moving and just not move at all, and they took off thinking I was moving. But it was a blast. It was so nice to be able to pull out one of my favorite games of all time. Also, I love Emerson Matsuuchi. What a fantastic human being, as well as an even greater game designer. And so we played Spectre Ops. Really glad I was able to get that to the table. If you haven't played it already, there is an expansion. I've actually not played the expansion yet. I would love to. But we played Spectre Ops.
This is still one of my favorite games of all time. Like, I love Spectre Ops. It's so fun. Like, I think you would really like it, Ruthie. Like, we need to. This is another one that we need to get to the table. We could play it 2 players. But yeah,
it works pretty well 2-player.
He designed it originally for 2 players, so it's just pretty fun to play with your different characters there. But it's basically like you said, it's like hide and go seek the board game. I've played a ton of the different like hidden movement games, and this is by far my favorite. Like, I love it. It's just streamlined and like solid, you know. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, there's my copy. I did get it signed.
Oh yeah,
by the crew.
This was so fun. Like, wasn't this like the first time we met Emerson? You had him sign it and had all the Plathead guys sign it.
His is in silver over the beast's forehead, so you can see Emerson's.
Nice.
And so yeah, and plaid hat. This was pre-Seafall, so this is back when I really loved that.
I remember when Rob got this signed by Emerson, like, we went over and we got it signed at his booth, because this was back when Emerson had his own booth with like his little
this is Gen Con,
his studio, and then we were standing in the plaid hat booth, and after Rob got it signed by Emerson came over into the plaid hat booth, was like, do you guys do a podcast? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, did you guys just have Isaac on? He's like, I listened to your podcast. I know you guys. And he was like super excited.
We lost it.
And after Rob had just gotten him to sign his game, he came over and was talking about how he was excited to see us. And we flipped out. And then from then on out, like, we had Emerson on the podcast many times. And like, I say that Emerson is one of my mentors for like creating Last Light and creating other board games and stuff like that. So Emerson is kind of like the man on a lot of that stuff. So
he is the man, and I'll never forget that, because then I think we were near Mark Street, and Mark at the time was like,
we just pushed Mark over, and we're like, get out the way, Mark. We're talking to Emerson, and it was great
because Mark was handing out like this dice tower thing, and he was like, do you guys realize who that was? And we were like, yeah, we do. And he was like, he listens to your show. And I was like, yeah, he just said that. And so Roy and I are on like this super big high. That was like, I think our first or second Gen Con. But
that was the first Gen Con after we had done the podcast, for sure. Yeah. So
that was a special moment. Yeah.
And you have the sign box there for the memories.
Now, Rob, with that family who's not really, mostly into party games, I would suggest maybe trying Escape from Aliens in Outer Space. Remember that one with the hidden movement and the large player count, like a party game almost?
That's a great idea.
I would just say, I don't know if they would like that, but it's just an idea.
No, but I think they would like it now after having played this, because when we go back to Arkansas, like my sister-in-law and her husband, and then my nephew, he's about to turn 13. Oh my gosh, which blows my mind. But playing with more players and getting them into more board games, I think that'd be a really great idea. But it's fun. I love it, and I know we're about to talk about this on the show, but I absolutely love when I can introduce somebody to something that I'm passionate about, and then you can see the spark in them. They're like, "Oh, Rob, okay, this makes sense. I get why you like this now." You know, like, okay, like the party games, everybody likes the jokes. It's real simple. It's real easy. But when you can play a game like this, it's not super hard at all. Because Spectre Ops
is just a big puzzle, right?
But but when you can
hardest
get
part
something
is,
like
like, the
that,
powers
and
of the
it clicks
characters.
for them, and they get excited, and they start chasing you down, and like the look in my mother-in-law's eyes, and when she wanted to kill me so bad, I've seen that look before. But it's so much fun when you can see they're like, oh man, because the next question is, well, next time we come back, we gotta try another one of them big old strategy games you like, Robert. All right, yes sir, we'll play next time y'all come
Got him
back.
hooked.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
So-
they say they'd want to play that one again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely want to play. And my father-in-law, he said, I should have listened to you. I should have been the prophet. You should have told me. I said, John, and his name's John Wayne. I said, John, I told you like 5 times. Be the prophet. Yeah, but that gun, because I have my minis painted, that gun just looks nice and big, man. I just wanted to shoot you. And it didn't.
There needs to be a hidden movement game that is like where one player is the deer and the other players are the hunters trying to get the deer. And it would bring in
awesome
the redneck community to the board game.
Okay, real quick, that game would sell so fast because they were actually in town.
You can have those in every single Walmart, you know. You could put that down in the 7-Eleven, you know.
Yeah.
It'd be great. It'd sell real good.
And shoot the deer. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be really big in like the rural population, you know. It'd be good. But no, that would actually make a really fun game.
Next idea for you, Roy.
There you go. Speaking of Plaid Hat, though, I'm gonna do another Plaid Hat game here, and this is a game that I'm sad Adam isn't on the podcast. He was specifically asking about this one, but you guys put me on the errand of playing this Ashes Reborn Red Rains, and this is the Corpse of Viros or whatever is the name of it. Anyway, this basically takes Ashes and makes it into a cooperative / solo game, so you can play the game cooperatively for 2 players or play the game solo. And honestly, I really enjoyed this. I haven't played Ashes in a long time, mostly because it's hard to get to the table because it's a big, like, it's a very thinky, like, strategy intensive, like, head-to-head battle game. Like, I've said it a bunch of times, but Ashes, like, hurts my head mostly because, like, the meaningful decisions in that game are so huge. You have your starting 5, and that's a big decision, and then, like, every play of the game, like, the order that you do that in is so important. And it's just a gigantic puzzle as you play it. I played this solo 3 times with all different characters, and I've had a blast playing it with all different decks. I played it with 2 of the decks from the regular campaign, and then I played it with it actually comes with a deck in it as well. So you can play with that deck, and it comes with 4 more Phoenixborn. They're basically like redone Phoenixborn with specialty cards that are added into this as well, that you can play any of those 4 Phoenixborn with that deck. And it's a sacrificial deck, so it's all about like bringing back allies and basically doing damage to your own units to be able to do a bunch of attacks and things like that. But the way this works is you basically have a Chimera out there, and you're trying to knock the Chimera out of all of its hit points, and each round the Chimera is going to be putting out different aspects they have to fight off. At the basic level, in 1 player or in 2 players, each of you are going to have 4 of these aspects in front of you. And each turn you're going to roll the die to see if he not only gets more of these Red Rains tokens, which are going to help him level up and make his dice rolls even more mean to you, and B, he reveals or attacks with his units that are on the board. So normally what's going to happen is you're going to roll the die, and you're going to be revealing each of his units 1 by 1, and then each of those units are going to attack 1 by 1, and then he will pass the rest of his turns once all of them have revealed and attacked. But as you roll the die, sometimes it'll say reveal a guy, sometimes it'll say reveal a guy and attack, sometimes it'll say attack with a guy that's already revealed. So you're not really sure what exactly the Chimera is doing at all times. You're not sure. He could be attacking you early. He could be attacking you later. You're not exactly sure exactly when that's going to happen. Also, some of those things on the thing can do even more messed up stuff, like make you downgrade your dice, which stinks in Ashes when your dice get worse. Or like do random damage to your guys. Also, when his ultimate goes off, he's going to deal 1 damage to all of your units and to your Phoenixborn, which could kill off all of your small units. And then once his ultimates go off, all of those actions get stronger, and his next ultimate's going to be even stronger. And then as he keeps building that up, he's going to get closer and closer to killing off your Phoenixborn. But if you're able to knock out those aspects, each time you kill an aspect, you do damage to him. Also, you can attack him directly. There's also die rolls you make to figure out if his units defend himself and things like that. this was a slam dunk for me. Like I haven't played Ashes in forever, and it's really like made me want to play Ashes more just because I can play it solo. My favorite game is Marvel Champions, and I really enjoy playing it cooperative 2 players. I enjoy playing it solo, and this gives me a lot of that feel of playing through Marvel Champions. But the crazy thing is, Ashes has a lot more heavy decisions than even Marvel Champions does. You know, Ashes is a thinky game. You know,
which I love. Ashes is probably still my favorite like card game head to head, because I like the thinkiness of it, and I like the forgiveness of it. What I mean by the forgiveness is like you can manipulate your dice. It'll cost you, but if you don't roll your dice well, you can manipulate your dice to be able to get a good hand. Where on Magic or other games, if you don't draw that mana, or if you just don't draw that character, you're up the creek without a paddle. So I like how Ashes offers that chance to you. I'm super excited for this. I did not get back into Ashes when they relaunched it, just because there's not a lot of people around. But I think because this one can be a co-op, I think I could get my my wife or definitely a couple friends locally to try to play, and so it'd give me a reason to get the Ashes Reborn, you know, the second edition stuff.
I think you could get just this and play with your regular core set stuff. The rules allow you to do that as well, and
With
because
the
you're
first
not.
edition stuff.
Yeah, you can play this with the first edition stuff. There's nothing that's going to stop you from doing that. Also, the fact that this comes with a deck in it, and then it's fine to play with that deck against it as well. Yeah, Magic, when you play, you start off with very little, and then you build up slowly as turns progress. Ashes, when you start your game, the decisions you have at the very beginning of the game are immense. You know, you have all these dice, you have all these cards in your hand. Most of the cards in your hand that you play down have decisions on them after you play them. And when you after you put them down, you can continue to use them over and over again. And the order that you play that stuff in is so important. And it hurts my head, but I really enjoy it.
Rob, you can always just play it solo and wake up in the morning, have your coffee, get a solo game in of Ashes.
I am not a coffee and game person. I love my coffee and I love my quiet time in the morning. I'm just not a big solo player. I'd rather play a video game. So if I were to play this, I'd play with friends. Solo games is fun, but I play games. I play board games to play with other people. I have enough voices in my head, and I have enough conversations. I don't want to then start playing against myself or competing with myself. Like, we just argue a lot. I would argue with myself about the rules, and so I don't want to go through that. And so I appreciate that, but I'm just going to stay with the co-op.
I was playing this, and Ruthie went to like go to the gym or something like that, and then she came back, and I was still playing this.
I'm like,
She's like, you're still playing this? And I'm like, listen, okay. Like, I was helping with the kids for some stuff, but also, I mean, I'm playing solo. I'm going to take my time making my decisions. It's just I'm like, this game hurts my head. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's like so many decisions.
But no, it's a blast. And like, I even texted Isaac. I was like, listen, man, you made Ashes and it hurts my head. And he's like, well, Nick is doing all the stuff for Ashes now, so you should really blame him. I'm like, no, I was playing with the core set. It's your fault, you know?
Yeah.
So, but no, it's fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
And Roy, real quick, how hard is it to win? Is it a hard game or easy game?
Honestly,
or can you adjust it?
I played on the easiest level where you only have 4 bad guys, and I won all 3 games. Granted, I took my time and made sure I was doing stuff pretty well, and I would like to think that I'm okay at card games, you know?
Yeah,
I'm not the best player of Ashes ever, just because I'm not experienced with the cards, just because I haven't played it a ton, but I was able to win all 3 of my games. You can easily add it up where the next level is still at 30 hit points for the bad guy in solo mode, but you have 5 bad guys you have to defeat each turn. I was barely defeating the 4 that I had, so if I had to add 1 more bad guy each turn, it's going to be huge. And then there's another mode where he has 5 more hit points, and then another mode where he has 6 bad guys. So it just you can ramp it up if something becomes too easy for you, or if you've actually, because I was playing with all standard decks. I didn't rebuild any of the decks. I didn't customize any of the stuff. I just played with the standard decks that you play with, and I was finding it definitely challenging, but I was able to win. So you can definitely customize it the way you want, and it's not overwhelming on the easiest difficulty, which I enjoy in games, but it still was like, he might attack me here or there, and sometimes I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna put this down, and then he'd like jump and kill it, and I'm like, that was the wrong move, that sort of thing. It's just fun when the game can mix it up like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, and that is Ash's Red Reigns. But yeah, I guess that leads us into our topic of the week, which is super simple. I just realized I forgot to change the topic, but Kent got me. You the man, Kent. Updating my PowerPoint for me there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so this is basically just going to be like, hey, why do you play board games? What's the reason that you are into tabletop games in general? What draws you towards those sort of things? I guess we'll start off with someone who hasn't talked too much yet. Either Courtney or Ruthie. Who wants to go? You want to go, Ruthie? Go ahead. You can start.
Well, I like gaming just because it's so new to me that it gets me out of my comfort zone. So every time that Roy's like, let's play this game, I get really anxious. I'm like, because I'm so competitive. But I'm like, oh, it's so new. And he's like, no, he's a great teacher as well, So I'm like, okay. So I'll play with him, and it's also a bonding experience that we get to have because it's a big part of his life. So I like that aspect that we get to have fun together, and I get to learn something new. Also, it's my friend the other day hit me up. My best friend Adrian was like, "You play a lot of party games." I'm like, "I do," and he's like, "What game should I get?" So like, I love that he asked me, like, what party game should I get? And I started bombarding him with, like, Dixit, Just One. And then I was, like, explaining it to him. And I was, like, proud of myself. I was like, oh. And he's like, I'm getting Just One. I'm like, yes, it's so much fun. And just getting other people involved is, like, really rewarding. Like, yeah, it's fun to have that experience with your friends and family and stuff like that. So
we've had a lot of experiences where a bunch of your friends have come over before and we played, and then we played with the kids, and we played with Naya, which is
my niece.
Her niece, which has like ADD and struggles in school sometimes. I mean, all of our kids struggle in school in different ways, but like the fact
ADHD.
that like we'll pull out Concept Kids, and the kids will just sit there attentive the whole time and work together on figuring out these different animals and stuff like that. Like seeing them like jump into a game, then always be asking, "Oh, can we play a board game? Oh, can we play a board game?"
Yeah,
it's just those.
Emma's always coming home from school and asking Roy, "Can we play a board game?"
Yeah, it's just
it's adorable.
Having those family experiences and those bonding things together is just like a huge thing.
Right.
So
I would agree with that. That's one of the reasons I like playing board games too. I used to play board games a ton as a kid, and so Kent got us more into it a few years back, and so we've been doing it together, bonding together over that, and then bringing the kids into it as well. Our oldest son, he always wants to play games. Like, he always picks the most inopportune time. It's like 10 minutes before bedtime, and he's like going into the kids' game shelf, like, let's play this game, or let's play this game, and I'm like, okay, it would take us 10 minutes. He pulls out
Twilight Imperium. He's like, bedtime, I think not.
It's like My First Stone Age, or I don't know, some of the other games he likes to play, but it's like, I'm like, it would take us 10 minutes just to set up that game. No, we're not playing that game. But it's that, and I really just, for myself, I just really love puzzle solving. So I just like games that have fun puzzles with them, and figuring out kind of the best way to do certain things, or the most efficient way. Like, Ken always makes fun of me because, like, one of my favorite things is completing orders. So it's like finding the most efficient way to get all the resources to complete orders in games is just, I don't know, I really enjoy that. So every time we play a game like that, he's like, oh, I'm going to get killed, aren't I? I was like, yep, you are. But yeah, just puzzles and games. I like that a lot.
What about you other guys?
Yep. You want to go, Rob? No, me. Or where you want to go?
Go ahead, Rob. Rob, you've been too quiet. It's your turn to talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be nice. Because I typically just tend to rant some. I love games, just in general. And I got tired of little kids saying bad things to me online. And I want to be able to beat them up. And so I was like, all right, let's play a board game. You say it to my face, we play a board game. I feel pretty confident I'm going to win. And so far, nobody has talked to me the way that a 10-year-old does while playing Call of Duty. And so I'm a big kid. I love games, and I also love people, and I feed off of people's energy. And so when I get to play games, especially when I get to play with games with people that I care about and my friends and stuff like that, like when we're all laughing and we make that inside joke or we have that experience or that crazy thing happens, like I just love it. I think games started for me because I love storytelling. You know, as a kid, I was really big into movies and shows and books and things like that. And so in a way, games became that interactive storytelling for me. And then board games just became that interactive storytelling that I got to do with other people. So I get to interact with other people. I get to have a good time. If I don't have a good time with you, I'll play with you once. And that's like, okay, thank you so much for playing. And so if I don't play with you again, it's you, not me. But I just love it. And I love it so much. I'll play games I hate, but I love the people and I love the company. And I like pushing my boundaries a little bit. And some of these games can do that. Some of these games can make you uncomfortable or awkward or can press you mentally because it's like, well, crap, what are they going to do? What's going to happen? And I love that challenge. And my life's not bad. I'm a blessed man. I'm very, very lucky. But I love not being Robert, if that makes sense. Like when I'm watching a movie, I'm the character in the movie. When I'm playing a game, I'm that character. When I'm playing board games, I'm this oil tycoon guy or this crazy Roman who wants to ship terrible wine all over the world. Or, you know, I'm this Viking in Blood Rage. Like I like just being in that game and experiencing that game. I think that's one of the other reasons why I'm loving D&D so much. I am these characters and I'm getting to play with these people and feeding off their energy. Like I love when we tell our stories. Like that's why I'll keep playing games. Is like when Roy was saying a few shows ago about the whole Resistance. Like I'll never forget. Every time I look at that game, I just remember Roy just like, well, you ruined everything. You ruined everything. I'll never forget. I love that. And that's how the show got started. So for me, that's why I love board games. It's a way where I get to interact, have fun, meet new people.
You meet new people.
Make great friends, and just just enjoy life a little bit. There's so much nastiness and craziness going on in the world. It's really nice to be able to sit down and play a board game with some people and just not worry about World War III right around the corner. Just have fun.
I really like what Ambi wrote in the comments about its structured socialization, because I think that's a big thing for people that are less introverted than Rob, where you have something to talk about, so there's not like awkward silence when you're just kind of sitting in a room with other people.
Yeah, I was definitely going to mention that for sure.
Yeah. Being able to stock trade train stocks and draw out routes. Got to get that interaction in there.
Yeah, I'm
just kidding, Ambi. You're the best.
And Kent can attest to this. I think last time we were at PAX Unplugged, sat next to this just woman at the cafe in the downtown Philadelphia area. Didn't know her for nothing. I just started a conversation with her. I don't know. I like talking to people and interacting with people and getting to know people, and that's what games is for me. But if you aren't introverted and you don't like people that are going to talk to you and also listen to you, I feel like I'm a pretty decent listener, then don't play with me. Because I will try to get to know you a little bit. But if you don't mind somebody asking you a couple of questions and getting to know you a little bit, then I'd love to play with you.
I guess I'll go ahead and go. I mean, I played games my entire life. My dad was a gamer before I was even born, so I was kind of like drafted into it. But I was willing, I loved games and played games. For me, it's really about the interaction and coming around the table with other people and like being able to like get to know them more, And I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways to like do stuff, and it's fun to have competition, but I love cooperative games as well. I love being able to work together towards certain tasks. I mean, I got that from playing Game World and D&D growing up, and just the fact that you work together to do these different goals as a team. And then when you get to do that in gaming as well, that's when board games really took off for me, was when I played stuff like Battlestar Galactica, where you work together on a team, or Pandemic, or Shadows over Camelot. Like those games were just like, holy smokes, you can work together in a board game, and those things just like drove board games up for me so high. I like games with a lot of interaction because like I actually listened to a thing the other day where a guy said like, I don't like games that feel like multiplayer solitaire because like why would you invite all of your friends over to like look down at the table for several hours? Like I want to actually talk to my friends and have a blast with my friends and be silly and interact, and the things that I do affects them and the things they do affects me. I really enjoy games with lots of interaction. I understand sometimes people don't like their stuff getting messed up and stuff like that, but I think it's a lot of fun just having those different interactions and see how people take different things in the game and how you can kind of build these worlds and build these stories together. It's just awesome. I mean, video games are awesome. Video games are definitely more immersive than board games are, but when you're solo playing a video game, you're not building relationships the way you are in a board game. And that's the reason why it's like playing a board game to me doesn't feel like as much of a waste of time or a time killer, just because you're still building up that relationship and getting to know that person better and making memories, and you can go back together. Like if I go, hey, I played some Zelda the other day and I went in this temple and solved this puzzle. It was kind of crazy. Like people aren't going to care as much, I guess, unless it was a Twitch streamer or something. But if I sit at the table with you and play a board game, it's going to be a lot more memorable, and we're going to have those experiences and get to know each other even better. I just think it's a great way to come together. It's so much fun with kids as well, you know, helping kids learn lots of different logic puzzles and how to look at the world in different ways and how to interact with these different components. I taught Emma how to play Pokemon list last week. And she was excited because she's been trading Pokemon cards with her friends at school. And I actually taught her how to play the game. And she was super attentive and super there for the whole game, and like drawing her cards and holding her hand out and getting super excited to upgrade her Pokemon and like knocking out my Pokemon and stuff like that. She won the game. I mean, I definitely didn't pull any punches because she's a beast. But it was a lot of fun, like playing through the stuff and her having fun and getting excited about the different characters and like doing the math on the card. Oh, this does 50 damage. Oh, this is another 50 damage. Oh, you have this many hit points. Oh, which character should you put out next? But who has the most hit points? Who has the best attack? You know, teaching her those sort of things and teaching her those problem solving things is just great. And those sort of things, if learned early in life, I think can only help you with all sorts of different problems. Like, how do you look at the world in different ways? How do you solve these puzzles? How do you balance your checkbook? I don't know, something like that. Who writes checks these days? Nobody writes checks.
It brings the family in closer together, you know? Yep. Like, I'll tell Roy, I'm like, I'm really interested in this game, and let's play it. Like, let's bring it to the table, and then boom, game night, you know? So it's a lot of fun.
Or there'll be games that Ruthie's heard us talk about on the podcast, or you guys have talked about on the podcast, and it's like, oh, we're going to invite friends over. Which game should I get from the studio? Oh, get this game, and this game. Oh, Rob, and then we're talking about this game. Let's bring this game in. And it's just fun to like not only have those games that other people have played, but then bring those and show them with our friends as well that are down here in Miami. It's just cool to like play different stuff with different people.
And that's why it's cool hearing other people's experiences, because like, oh, that sounds like fun, you know, or like, I want to play that. Yeah.
They're great, and especially if you have kids. Trying to get game night once a week or at least every other week. To everything that you guys just said, it's wonderful. For one, kids need to learn how to lose. They also need to learn how to win properly. Also teaches them how to look beyond just the pretty picture, but helps with reading. It can help with
taking turns,
hand-eye coordination, depending on the games that you play. It can help with a bunch of different things, and also it just builds those relationships. You know, like we're seeing people in chat, and all of us have talked about playing with our kids, and just the kids lighting up and paying attention and having fun. You know, and so it's such a powerful tool, especially if you have little ones, and it just brings the family closer together. Yeah. Right. Now, mom and dad, you also need to be a good loser. You know, because sometimes the kid just learns and they kick your butt, and that's okay. Yeah. You know, so you're teaching your child how to, interact with people in life. Right. And so, but I won't pull punches, and I will continue to destroy my kids until they earn it. They haven't got there yet, so that's fine. And one day they will. And I'm dad, and they can just get over that.
Kent's the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. Sorry, girls. Dad won again. You're playing for second. I'll set it up, but you're playing for second.
I don't feel bad anymore.
I gotta say, I don't pull punches for anyone except my kids. But yeah, that's sometimes a lie, but it's okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Kent?
Well, so yeah, I've played games my whole life. I played a lot of like sort of complicated solo video games and a lot of Magic. And those two things aren't really great for playing with other people unless they're already into it. So it's not like something I could play with like my friends or family that aren't into that kind of stuff. So mainly I got into board games because I wanted to be able to play something with, friends that maybe not into something as heavily as I am. So I could just pull out a board game and be like, hey, check this out. This thing is, did you know this can happen with this board game? It's like some crazy thing that they've never seen before. But it gives me this, it kind of scratches the strategy itch and kind of learning new things. And sometimes playing, like when I play a lot of these heavier games, I like the complex systems in them, and I like the challenge it provides. Part of it is just kind of like discovering what the game has to offer and how and kind of like Courtney was saying, it's a puzzle. Like how can I approach this puzzle, and how can I, what can I do to, overcome this puzzle? So it's more like, and that's why, like for me, a lot of times the themes of games matter some, but sometimes it doesn't matter at all, because it's like sometimes the decisions are so satisfying and so crunchy that like all that other stuff goes away, and it's like a fun experience that I'm just having, working out. So, it's just working my brain. So I really like that challenge, but I like the challenge with other people. Like I like being able to experience that challenge together, whether it be multiplayer solitaire or even high interaction. I like interactive games, but I also like multiplayer solitaire. It just really, I'm more about like what the group likes. So I like finding games that work well for certain people. So like when I'm buying games, I'm like, hey, I can play this. I'm buying an experience I can play with Courtney. I'm buying an experience I can play with my dad. I'm buying an experience like, I can play with my son. So like I'm more trying to like capture those like really cool experiences with certain people in certain situations. I love introducing people to games too. So it's like it's all about kind of, again, like you all have kind of said a lot of this stuff, bringing people together, but again, being kind of, more introverted and not nearly as social. It's a good way for me to interact with people. And do something fun and challenging and something we can all kind of be on the same page with, but still interact socially and have a good time. So that's kind of the gist of, why I play games and why I went to board games, I would say. But I pretty much agree with all you all about the family bonding and the kids, playing games with kids is great. And, all that kind of stuff is completely agree.
I think like teaching people games that you feel like they're gonna really enjoy is one of the most fun things. Like trying to like be like, okay, these people, they're like this group of people, they're not that big into gaming, they're newer to stuff. What game would work with them? Would this party game work, or would that game work? Like meeting people at the level that they're at is really really awesome. I see so many people online sometimes brag about like, oh, my kid played Eclipse, or oh, my kid played Brass Birmingham or whatever, and like instead of like letting them actually be a kid, it's just interesting. It's just fun to me. Like when I approach games, I'm like, oh man, this would be a really good experience for, like you were saying, Kent, like, oh, like this would be a really good experience for my dad, or this would be a really good experience like for my wife or my kids or whatever. It's always interesting to like figure out what things work best with what people based on their interests, based on the type of games they play, and just fun to like come around the table together and like make those things happen,
Yeah, Kent's dad is like really into stocks and the stock market. So like every single time a new stock market game comes out, Kent's like, oh, I gotta get this for my dad.
I look into it, I see if it work, we try it. We played a lot of different stock games. Not really heavy stock games, but a lot of like, stock games or with market manipulation, things like that. And he likes that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's fun. But yeah.
That's awesome. Tons and tons of reasons to play games. We talked about a bunch of stuff in chat, and it's just fun to come around the table together. And you know what? We'll have to continue playing games together. But yeah, I guess this is coming to the end of another Epic Gaming Night podcast. I do want to say thank you to everybody who joined us in chat, everybody who stopped by, everybody who listens to the audio stream. Make sure to tell people about the podcast. Let people know that we're doing this stuff again. It's been exciting. Having more people come back and be like, oh, I listened to the podcast, I did this and that, and like excited that we're back together doing this. So it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I want to thank all the other co-hosts on here. Thanks, Ruthie and Courtney and Kent and Rob, and we're gonna have Matt and Adam back next time.
I hope so. Hopefully back
with those two.
We'll have to bring Matt in, even if it's just on his Android with Skype on it or whatever. Just in the kitchen eating cheese or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it was a blast.
Thank you, guys. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thanks everybody.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
chat. Bye.
Have a good one. Peace.